Hello, guys. Good day. This is Anne of Reinforce Me Club, your fellow positive reinforcer. Today, we are going to talk about regrets. How regret can teach us to be better. Regret is a feeling we get when we wish we had done something differently. The shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know, as our last words when we wish we could have done it, we could have done better. Maybe you didn't say sorry to a friend, or you didn't study for a test and you failed, and later you feel bad about it. That's regret. Everyone feels regret sometimes. It can help us learn from our mistakes and make better choices next time. But if we think about it too much, it can make us feel really sad or worried and stuck. Learning how to handle regret is important. It helps us feel better, try again, and keep moving forward. Remember, mistakes are part of life, and they can teach us how to grow. Now, how does regret affect us? So there's a good and the bad side of regret. The good side of, you know, regret is that we learn. We simply learn from our mistakes. Regret can teach us how to make better choices the next time. It teaches us about consistency, perseverance, how bad we really want to achieve our goals, to the point that we never give up, we keep growing, learning from our mistakes, and then we get the result that we want. And afterwards, we forget about regret. Instead of regretting, it's, you know, we were able to learn and gain something from our mistakes. And when we experience feeling bad about our choices, bad choices, we can, it helps us understand what is really important to us, what really matters to us. Now, this happens though because if we don't feel bad about our choices, it means that it's not important. I mean, it's nothing. Like, for example, you're in a relationship and then you're not happy anymore, then you broke up. It's like a relief for you because, you didn't regret that you end the relationship. Plus, you were able to grow. I mean, it's not. You could be in a terrible situation when when you are in the verge of growing, because in some point you're gonna make mistakes, and you regret it, and then you do whatever it takes to make it right, and then when you finally get what you want, then you forget about the regret. You you fight regret by more actions. You know, more actions. You fight regret by growth. You fight regret by making better choices every time because of your past mistakes. Because it matters to you. Now, what are the not so good things about regret? You know the way when you feel bad about you know, what you chose to do, what you chose to have. You feel bad about it, and after feeling bad, you feel sad. Thinking about past mistakes too much can make us feel upset, and then overthinking, and then there you go, anxiousness. And if we happen to not get over it, then that's the time when we get stuck. If we can't stop thinking about what we did wrong, we might feel scared to make choices in the future. This is common in, you know, relationships, heartbreaks, death of a loved one. That some people weren't able to move on from their past. That's why, since they cannot make future, another choice, which is something to do with their past, and they just avoid it. And even though they're avoiding it, it's still in their head. Now, this is how regret affect us. It makes us feel worried, nervous about doing, things which we're thinking that we could make go wrong again, we could mess it up again. And then, due to overthinking, we feel tired. Even our sleep will be compromised if we stay up thinking about those mistakes, especially those mistakes which are really way too long, years and years. Some people still experience these things, and it even creeps up in their sleep. And when we feel like whenever we regret something, especially if we happen to hurt someone, we might feel too embarrassed to talk to them, and that would leave us feeling isolated, alone. Now, what can we do about regrets in order to overcome it, and how to feel better about, in spite of regrets? Firstly, it's important to be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes, and it's okay. And it's also important to acknowledge it, to be aware about our mistakes so we can accept it. And when we accept our mistakes, that's the only time that we could finally learn from it. And then we can think to ourselves, like, we can even say to ourselves, like, what can I do differently next time? Having the probability to encounter the same situation again. And when we feel bad about our choices, it's also worth considering to talk to someone we trust. Share your feelings with a friend, a parent, or a teacher, or therapist, or it could be your mentor. And lastly, it's important to focus on the now, in the now. Instead of thinking about the past, try to do something good today. And when we focus our mind in the now, we try to think about, those errors that were made in the past. Try to consider it as, try to think the a better and or a good perspective about it, that we need mistakes to in order for us to grow. We make mistakes in order for us to be a superhero in our life, not in other people's lives, but in our story. We need mistakes. We need to feel bad. We need to fail in order to get better and better, to be deserving for all the things that we're praying for. We need to be defeated. We need to stumble. We need to feel like betrayed. And even if we're the one betraying, and then we realize that, what's the lesson behind it? And use it. Use it to move on and make better choices in the future. Think about what's important to you before making decisions. Remember that not everything will be perfect. And nobody's perfect. That's why we have the opportunity to build the kind of empire, the kind of life that we want. Because nobody's perfect, it means that we are also entitled to make mistakes. But since we're entitled to make mistakes, we also have to face the consequences of those mistakes, because those are our choices. Then we got to be the one facing the consequences. That's why it's important to think about, to ponder about your choices before making decisions. Always try your best. And if things don't go well, it's a chance to learn again. Now, why regret can be helpful? Look, regret might feel bad at first, but it helps us grow. It's like when you fall while learning to ride a bike, you learn how to balance better the next time until you become a cyclist. You need to practice more, in all sorts of weather, in all sorts of difficulties, from a bike learner to into a cyclist into a champion, a marathon champ. So it's life is like that. Mistakes are part of life, and they help us become stronger and smarter each time, facing towards the future. Now, I hope you learned something from our discussion today. And if you ever love this episode, you can share it to your family and friends. You can follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even Amazon Podcasts, uh, Amazon Music. Yeah, there's a podcast there. And I do appreciate your time, and have a lovely day ahead. This is Reinforce Me Club once again. This is Anne, your fellow positive reinforcer. Thank you.